The Radio Ashford Feel Good Hour with Sam Griffin and Nigel Jones. Get set for the weekend with a healthier, happier you. Friday lunchtime from 12:30 on the Sam Griffin Show. Radio Ashford 107.1 FM or on your smart speaker.
Joining me, as always, is Nigel Jones, life coach, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and author of Walking Back to Happiness and founder of 9 Kilometres by 9 a.m. Nigel works with behaviour change as a deep emotional level and helps people make changes that are realistic, compassionate and lasting. Now, on Monday is National Old Stuff Day, a timely moment to reflect on all our relationships with possessions and why we keep things. We are talking about hoarding. Are you a hoarder?
No. But I know someone who is.
How are you?
I'm really good.
Nice holiday?
Yeah, it's good to be back. I was away for 3 weeks.
You.
So I've missed you too, and it's lovely to be back in sunny Ashford.
Well, yeah. Not so sunny today. Right, so let's go work into this hoarding.
Yeah.
When does being a bit messy or liking to keep things cross that line?
Okay, so most people have clutter. You know,
Yeah.
it's natural to have a bit of clutter around you. But hoarding begins, I guess, when possessions start to overwhelm you and start to fill up your living space, and so you can't really live normally anymore. Now, health professionals say they look for, I guess, 3 core signs that hoarding could be a problem. So the first one is persistent difficulty in discarding or getting rid of things.
Yeah.
So regardless of their value,
Yeah.
you know, I just want to keep it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is a strong urge to save things, and then having distress if you wanted to let that go. Are these ringing any bells?
Yeah.
And the third one, living space. When you can no longer use the space that you're in to live. So you see this if you, like some people's bedrooms, you know, if they've got hoarding disorder, there's no room for them to sleep in the bed. The bed is just packed with things and stuff and clothes and shoes and all sorts of things, newspapers, books, and kitchens, no workspace, piles of dishes, piles of food. Just no. So, you know, you can see it's actually quite a serious thing that can affect your health.
Serious effect.
So it's easy to sort of say, oh yeah, have a bit of a joke about it, but it's actually it's not a nice thing at all.
Yeah. And, you know, look, we all have one of those drawers that have got all the stuff in. I call it the man drawer.
Okay.
We all have carrier bags within carrier bags and a few more carrier bags within a carrier bag.
Yeah.
You know, but like you say, when it starts kind of sitting in there watching the TV and you've got stacks of books like head high either side of you and around you, and that's a worry, isn't it? You don't have, for me, if I'm sitting at home and I see something that's untidy or not in its right, it bothers me.
Yeah, okay.
So I have to tidy it up.
Yeah.
I like to make sure that things are away and things are tidy.
Yeah.
So I struggle with having too much stuff around. So I'm not a hoarder.
So hoarding disorder was recognised as a disorder about 10 years ago. I think it was 2013. It is actually similar to OCD, but in a way it's like there's a form of opposites in there as well.
Sure.
Because with OCD and the compulsions within OCD, they're normally done, or they are done, to actually get rid of anxiety. Whereas with hoarding disorder, by keeping stuff, you actually have a gain of calming yourself or getting rid of stress, or it makes you feel good. It makes you feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
It's only when you let it go, or that thing that you're hoarding or that possession needs to be, or you get rid of it, that you feel the anxiety.
Yeah.
So there's an opposite in there, but you can see how it is closely linked to OCD.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, it's a classified mental health condition now.
Yeah.
How is that diagnosis made?
Well, I mean, it's like I said before. It's like you go and see your GP if you feel that you've got piles of stuff all around you. And normally it's a member of your family who will recommend that you go and see someone, because sometimes the hoarder can't see it.
Yeah.
They don't realise, or they don't want to see it, basically. So that diagnosis is made through a professional, normally a clinical professional, and you'd start off by going to see a GP, and then that you would get referred to an expert in that area. But the common types of hoarding, if you look at the different types of it, you've got like sentimental hoarding. So again, a way to actually find out if you are a hoarder is look at the different types and say, well, do I actually fall within one of these groups? So sentimental hoarding is like objects linked to memory or your identity, or maybe even loss.
Yeah.
So if you've lost a loved one, you might start keeping things that remind you of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that. There's fear-based hoarding, and that's fear of waste or letting stuff go, or regret in the future that you might need it. I can't possibly let that go. I might need it in like 10 years time. But this is quite a major one.
So familiar, this conversation.
Yeah, and I think listeners will, they'll associate with this because
100%.
there's I think I saw a figure. It was like between 2 and 5% of the population suffer from some form of hoarding disorder. It's a lot of people. That's between 1 and 2 million people that have this. So when we say that, the next one is information hoarding. Now, this is more relevant today than it's ever been, particularly with phones. And ask yourself, how many photos, how many videos do you have on your smartphone?
Yeah.
Because that's hoarding.
Yeah.
And some people have 100, 200,000, maybe even more. You can see the market for this because the phones are increasing in their size of memory. It used to be really unheard of that you'd have like a 1 terabyte phone.
Yeah.
They're quite common now. Yeah. I think the minimum you'd buy a phone at is 128 gigabytes or 256. That used to be like the top end thing. But why is it? Because we're saving all the videos, all the photos. But why? But is there some point in the future that you'll need that again? And so you can see that there's a fear underneath it that's driving it. There's also compulsive buying, so difficulty in resisting an acquisition, rather than I have to buy it.
Yeah.
Another one which is unusual but is still there is animal hoarding. Now, I was surprised at this. There's actually people collecting. Well, they're not really collecting, they're hoarding animals, and this could be like fish, cats. I know several people who've got over 20 cats.
That's a lot of cats.
Yeah,
that's a hoard of cats.
Yeah. And so the hoarding disorder doesn't necessarily have to be possessions. It can be living things like pets as well.
I used to be one of these people that would have like a box in my cupboard full of sweet wrappers that I could use to make art and crafts with.
Right, okay.
I was one of those. That box will come in handy. I could use that for something, and then fill that said box up with. That could be handy. Yeah. But I can part with it. I'm one of these people that for a while it might sit in a cupboard, but I will part with it. I have no problem with not keeping stuff. Yeah. But I can. But it is hard, and I can see why it's hard. For some people. Nigel Jones is still with me, and we're talking about hoarding today. So what's really going on underneath in terms of hoarding behaviour? What emotional need is being met with it?
Yeah, so basically it's providing like a temporary relief from anxiety. Yeah. That's the basis of it. And so, but really it's like the role fear plays in this is huge. So it's questions like, what if I need this? So these are the voices.
And then worrying about not having it.
Yeah. What if I can't replace it? What if I forget that, I need that to actually remember something by? Yeah. And what if I lose the memory on my phone? So I need all these different backups. I need all this different stuff. Some people back up like maybe 5-6 times over. Yeah. Because of the fear of losing the digital data. Yeah. So basically letting go can feel like, emotional danger. So there's definitely, fear behind the whole thing. And what people get from this really is they're getting comfort and reassurance. And to a certain extent, I suppose, a sense of control and protection from loss.
Yeah, yeah. Now, obviously, there are going to have effects on your physical and mental health with those.
Yes,
So
indeed.
what kind of impacts are we talking about here? Over a period of time, of course.
I mean, this is can be really serious. So it can lead to things like poor hygiene and sanitation. So especially, where people are hoarding food waste, because that can accumulate and get, infected quite quickly, particularly in kitchens. If you see kitchens which, have hoarding in them, poor hygiene, absolutely, a massive problem. There's, this is the big one. The risk of a fire breaking out in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see some properties, you can't even go through the hallway because it's like full up with newspapers or clothes or shoes or old coats.
And I was thinking things like sleeping. If your bedroom is really full of stuff, how are you going to get to bed?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's not just for the person who's in there where they've got it's overloaded and they can't get around their house, but also for, say, fire services or emergency services arriving or anyone arriving to come in and to help you, they can't get to you.
No.
So there's that. There's the physical side as well, is tripping over, falling over, injuring yourself, because everything's blocked up in the dark. You can't remember that pile of books you put there. It can lead to breathing problems from things like dust, mold, damp, which all accumulate around piles of things because you haven't got air circulation going on. And you're right. Yeah, you're right. Disrupted sleep is really big, and that has a physical impact, a massive physical impact on you.
Yeah,
of course.
And then in turn, that affects your mental health.
Yeah. So this condition, hoarding disorder, is across both. So you suffer from the physical side of it, but also the mental side is massive as well. And the common psychological experience around this is anxiety or chronic anxiety or overwhelm.
Yeah.
I mean, that just happens if you're surrounded in an environment which is piles of stuff and you can't see the carpet or you can't see the bed or you can't see, it's going to have a massive effect on you.
And obviously, we're going to touch on this a bit more, but, relationships, people, not come and see you and you'll start, loneliness kind of sinks in. I can't imagine living like that, but I know some people do. And are we looking at trauma-based stuff here?
We are indeed, and this is called the isolation effect in the fact that, you're actually shrinking your environment. Because your house is getting, your apartment is getting full up with like stuff. There's nowhere to move. People can't come round anymore because you can't entertain because there's nowhere for them to sit.
Yeah.
And so your social circles are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You'll find that people calling you up or invitations decline and to go out to different places, and you'll see that your social circle does get smaller. And I think there's a huge element of shame and secrecy around hoarding as well. In that people won't tell anybody that this is going on, and it's a big second life, secret life that they're living. And obviously on the mental health side, that's humongous, and so you can see the seriousness of this.
100%.
And anyone who thinks they do have the start of hoarding disorder or potentially are already in it, then they should talk to a relative or talk to a friend or talk to a professional about how they can get around it, because there are ways of getting around this. I mean, just seeing a therapist or even hypnotherapy can help.
Just don't need that thing anymore in your life.
No, exactly.
We've got a little bit of time, so we're going to hop on to the next kind of section about relationships, partners, children, carers, and all those around you, around the hoarder. For them, that must be incredibly different. How does it affect them?
I mean, there's, this is really distressing. So the impact on loved ones, it can cause, chronic tension and arguments. About the living space that people are in. So if a couple or a family, if one person is hoarding there, then obviously it affects everybody,
of course,
else's space and life. I suppose there's all sorts of things going on. There's feelings of being unheard and being powerless. But let's look at it from another perspective. Look at it from the perspective of children. They could start avoiding bringing friends home because the home is not a nice place. It's just full of junk or piles everywhere, and that shame and secrecy gets passed down onto them. So the hoarder, maybe not realizing it, is actually passing this on to other members of the family, and in particular, obviously, children who are just an open book. Just they're having this written into their minds, which will cause them a trauma, and in a way, they become the hoarders of the future. Because where does this come from? A lot of hoarders have learnt to hoard.
Learned behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's all sorts of things that drive it. But one of them is, my mum and dad or someone else was a hoarder that I know, and it's come from that.
Yeah.
I was brought up in a hoarding household, so that I've got through that.
Whereas I am a hoarder, that's where it's come from.
The Radio Ashford Feel Good Hour with Sam Griffin and Nigel Jones get set for the weekend with a happier, whoa. Friday lunchtime from 12:30 on the Sam Griffin Show. Radio Ashford did on 7th and 1 FM or on your smart speaker.
Thanks, guys. See you next time. Our little band.
I love that band.
They're such a good band.
They're all still at school as well.
Wow, they're so talented. Isn't it great? They're not really. We haven't really got a band in here. I wish. We're talking about hoarding. Nigel Jones is with me for the Feel Good Hour. We're talking about hoarding this hour.
Yes.
We're talking about the effects of it for our partners and other, obviously, people suffering with it as well. Is it realistic to tackle hoarding alone, or do you need some kind of support and structure around it?
So the straight answer is no. You definitely need
Some help.
You definitely need some help.
Intervention.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't feel alone on this. You've got to go and seek help, because it is serious, as we've talked about on both physical and the mental sides of things. So why does support matter? I mean, that's the question we should be asking, and it really, by sharing this, it reduces the shame and the secrecy.
Sure.
Because a lot of this is, it's all built up. It's all, I hoard, I'm not telling anyone about it. So bring someone else in, and that, it doesn't have to be someone you know. It's great if it is a friend or a family member, but they probably know already. Yeah. It's more, go and seek some professional help, be a therapist or your GP, or go online. There are helplines basically for hoarding. Yeah. So
just want to clarify something though first.
Yeah.
There is a difference between hoarding and collecting.
There is indeed, yeah. So
what is the difference?
So if you, I mean, the very simple difference is a collector would categorise and display their items with pride. Uh-huh. So, if you meet a collector, they normally, they've got lots of stuff, but it's all laid out and on show, and they're very proud of it. Yeah. So, on the other hand, the opposite, in a way, hoarding is secretive, and there's shame linked to it. Yeah. And it's a bit more chaotic. Disorganised. Yeah. So there's a massive difference. So you could have someone who's got the same amount of books as a collector, all organised and lovely, and they can tell you all about them. And then there's the hoarder of the books who just piles everywhere, and it's chaotic, and there's a shame and a secrecy.
Jay just messaged to say, have you told Nigel about the amount of notebooks you have? And I do have a few, but I use them all. They're not on display. They're not piles and piles everywhere. They're in drawers or in a bag or on a shelf. So they're not. That's not hoarding.
Yeah. Would you feel anxious if you got rid of them?
More for an information-based thing, though, only because of what's in them in terms of numbers, diary entries, that kind of thing. Yeah. Personal stuff. But no, I wouldn't. I could quite happily throw one away as long as that information wasn't in there.
Just one.
2, maybe 3, depending on how generous I'm feeling. But that's more of what's in them.
So you're saying there's 15, but are they all current or are they past notebooks?
I don't have very many past ones.
Okay, so they're all on the go, 15 on the go. Yeah,
there's different things going on in each of them. One could be around, I like to collate what I've eaten. One could be a project book. One could be work-related projects, or got different kinds of projects. I have different ones for different projects. So, yeah.
That's not hoarding.
That's definitely not. See, thank you, Nigel.
No.
And my earrings are on a whirly gig. I call them a whirligig, like a spinning thing that's on display. So they're not hoarding either.
No.
Just putting it out there to the universe.
So, so support matters, as we were saying,
does, yeah.
and I think by sharing it with someone else, you're starting to prevent the overwhelm. You're breaking the avoidance cycles, and you're starting to get to the root of why you're doing it, because the problem aired is a problem shared, or a problem shared is a problem aired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good to talk about this, and when you look at it, the talking therapies are amongst the best ways forward to actually solving the issue, the hoarding disorder. So hypnotherapy is good, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy. But it's all about talking about it, understanding what the underlying reasons for you doing it are, and what the gain is.
And
where that came from. As soon as you know where it came from, you can change that memory around it, or change the way you think about it.
Definitely, 100%. Now, obviously, if somebody's thinking about maybe decluttering, what's some gentle first steps to do that? Because they can be quite panic-inducing for some. The thought of getting rid of something that they've had, or that big change is coming. The first part of getting help is admitting you have a problem, right? They've initialised the fact that yes, they've got a hoarding problem. They need to get some help. But in itself, the start of that decluttering is going to be panic-inducing.
Yeah, it is, and so the best thing, I can give you a few tips or steps to do. I mean, the classic one is to choose something that's low emotion. So that could be expired food in the cupboard.
Yeah.
I mean, people who hoard tend to sort of hoard on every level.
Yeah.
So they might have kept sort of old tins of soup that might be 5-6 years out of date.
Yeah.
Or rubbish or duplicates. So choose something that's low emotional value and just get rid of that first of all.
Yeah.
Another thing to do might be set a 10-minute timer and say, well, right, I'm going to have 10 minutes now, a defined burst, and I'm going to sort of sift through my pile of books or my pile of newspapers, and I'm going to get rid of. Set yourself a goal. 10 of them. Yeah. So you just start small. And then just move on, and then create some form of clear stop rule. So if you feel that anxiety is going to kick in after 5 minutes of doing this, then stop at 5 minutes.
Yeah, don't go. Don't push it.
So there's some of these are really obvious, but they're just go at it from a slow but sure basis, and you'll start to tackle it.
And especially if you've then got that somebody that you're, supporting you, they can do it with you too. So you have got that moral support to make that first step.
Yeah, and look, you could have a halfway house, which is I always say, have a maybe box. So create a big box or a small box, whatever size box you want, and have it as just write the word maybe on it.
Yeah.
So it goes into that. So it's on its way out.
Yes, yeah.
And so you can see it's made the transition from the hoarding pile to maybe I don't need that anymore.
Maybe. Yeah.
And so that's another way of addressing the issue.
Yeah. Love that.
And then another thing is ground yourself, do some slow breathing around it. So when you feel this need to bring more things in, or you're worried about getting rid of stuff, take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
Just relax yourself and say, put it in the maybe box, or put it in the gone. It's gone box, maybe box, or keep.
And I think for me, it's the after. In a couple of months' time, all of this stuff is now gone. You have all the light in your room. You have air. It's looking great. And then it's all about maintaining. So, I always do a 6-month thing. So I'll empty all my kitchen food cupboards in 6 months, go through all of them, check the dates on things. So every 6 months, I have, it'll be like a spring clean.
Yeah.
But I do an autumn one as well. And that's my mum. My mum used to do that. And I remember her going, right, time for a tidy up. And we'd go through everything, get rid of stuff we didn't need.
Yeah.
And whether it be school stuff. Because that's another thing, it's that whole, as a parent, is that guilt thing. Your child comes home with another picture that they've drawn for you, and you've got this pile of pictures piling up, or they've made you a beautiful tank out of cardboard boxes, and the guilt of having to get rid of these things.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Just recycle. Just tell them you're going to recycle them.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to put everything on display and have everything.
No, and also the good thing is, we talked about right at the top of the show, but the Monday is National Old Stuff Day.
Get rid of your old stuff.
Exactly. Is that the strap line?
Well,
get rid of your own
that's
stuff.
my strap line. Get rid of your old stuff. Not including your husband's.
So National Old Stuff Day, get rid of your old stuff. And so that's an opportunity again to say, right, well, it's National Old Stuff Day. I'm gonna have a box of like it's gone, and I'll have a maybe box for that day as well.
It's really funny. We've actually got a book. We've been having a bit. Or Jay's been tidying up the shed and stuff. We've actually got someone coming to collect it all on Monday.
Okay, good.
Universe was speaking. Nigel is still here. We're edging on through our hoarding feel good hour. Let's talk of this a bit more in terms of learning from the Japanese culture or other cultural approaches to possessions and tidying up. Obviously, the Japanese are on it. What can we learn from them? What can we gain from their knowledge?
So there's one method that stands out, which is called KonMari, which was made popular in the UK, but there's a TV program. I'm not sure if it was on Channel 4 with a lady called Marie Kondo.
Okay.
And it was all about sort of getting rid of the clutter in your house. And so what they focus on is, rather than asking the question, what should I throw away, ask a different question, which is, what do I want to keep?
Yes.
And that's a massive different reframe to this. And the core principles of this KonMari philosophy in Japan is you want to keep items that only spark joy. So if that's your rule, then you're going to get rid of a lot of clutter.
Yeah.
And so the key elements of the process are to tidy by category, not by room. So if you see that program, and I think it was on about 10 years ago, she would go through a drawer and take sort of socks or underwear or T-shirts, and just take a category at a time. And literally go through each one, like roll them all up neatly. So you've got your smalls in one box, your socks in another, and you open the drawer and it just looks absolutely perfect. There's an element of some sort of OCD in this,
of course.
but it actually looks very well organised, almost like going into a collector sort of mentality. She's got her items on display and she's proud of them.
Wow.
So there's a spark of joy in the stuff she's kept. So gone through all the old knickers, don't want those, don't want those, because they're not giving me any spark of joy. Keep the spark of joy, and then all of a sudden
I love that
and that's the method. That's the method, and it's proven to work, and it's fun. So the idea around it really is treating each item individually, even if it's a pair of socks.
Yeah.
So deal with it individually. Does it spark joy? If not, get rid of it.
I love that simple, basic, and really interesting way of doing things.
Yeah.
Now, is there a judgment-free self-check that some of our listeners can do? A small action for them to maybe do on Monday for National Get Rid of Your Old Stuff Day.
There's lots of things you can do. So let's look at this sort of self-check question. So here's a few. So, can I use all rooms in my home for their intended purpose? So ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
So, can I live in my living room? Can I cook in my kitchen? Can I sleep in my bedroom?
Yeah.
If there is a room where you can't do that, then obviously that's going to need some work.
Yeah.
So is there any rooms in your house? Maybe
Nope.
A lot of people, it's the loft, because the loft gets stuff just thrown into
I'm
it.
actually quite fortunate. We don't have a loft.
Right.
We don't have a garage.
Right.
We don't have a spare room.
So you've mentioned the three culprits. Yeah.
And so actually, I'm really grateful for that, because I know that my lovely husband would probably fill them with things.
Yes.
Because they're there.
Yeah.
So we're unfortunate we don't have those three things. So our house, actually, if somebody came in, would actually say, actually, this is quite decluttered. There's not really anything here.
Yeah.
You don't come in and see stuff lying all over the place. There's shoes by the front door, but that's different.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, So actually, I'm quite grateful that I don't have those spare spaces.
Okay. So some more questions to ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel anxious or panicked at the thought of throwing things away?
I don't. There might be the odd little thing, like my nan used to have one of those calendars that used to spin, and the date would drop down as you spent over.
Oh yeah.
I've got that from my nan, but it's like just one thing. So I don't know. I think it depends what it is.
Yeah.
You know, things like papers and books and stuff like that, probably not. If it's like maybe a little piece of jewellery, I would keep it, you know. But no, I can disassociate myself with it. They're just things. Memories are far more important.
So if you don't sound as if you're a bordering hoarder disorder person,
No.
but you know, if someone is on the edge there, or they've already crossed it and they already have have the disorder, you know, it's questions like, you know, do I feel shame about the state of my space? You know, if it's
Do I want to go home?
Yeah. You know, have I been meaning to sort this room out for years, but just never got round to it? I mean, these are the alarm questions. If the answer is yes to those, then you know you do have the disorder, and you should be doing something about it. So you know, again, the signs of where you've crossed the line are things like the pathways become too narrow in your garden or in your hallway. Beds, sofas, or tables can no longer be used properly. Important documents are lost in piles. You know, you can't find stuff because it's just, you know, lost in a pile of paper. Fire exits are obstructed, and so you can see, like, these are sort of classic things you can ask yourself. And if the answer is yes, then you know it's time to sort of, you know, take a look at it, basically.
Absolutely.
But also remember, you know, that the hoarding is not just physical; it can be digital as well. And so, you know, what are you hoarding digitally? Have a look at your phone. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Like, say, if you actually do say, right, well, I'm going to get rid of something physical first of all. So let's say there's a pile of something you've been meaning to get rid of for ages. Set a time and a date to do it. National Old Stuff Day, great. Yeah. Also on National Old Stuff Day, have a go at your phone. Look at what am I going to delete from this? How many duplicate photos do I have?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or maybe clear your desk, or just get rid of all the emails in your inbox. It's amazing how good you feel immediately once you get rid of all that inbox.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can see the psychological and the mental health effects on this. So it's not just about decluttering space, it's about decluttering sort of digital space as well, and also your mind. You know, because it literally leads to overwhelm and overthinking and lots of stuff. So just by clearing that desk, clearing those emails out and clearing the photos is a great start.
Yeah. Thank you so much, as always. It's always a pleasure to have you come in. And don't forget, you can head on over to 9kilometersby9am.com to find out all about Nigel's work. And you can get in touch with him by Nigel at 9kilometersby9am.com. Something resonated today. Remember this: hoarding isn't about laziness or mess. It's about emotion, safety and identity. Change doesn't start with bin bags, it starts with compassion and one small step. So remember this on Monday when it's get rid of your old stuff day. Small step makes a huge difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a wonderful weekend.
And we're doing dreams, I believe, next.
I can't wait for this. I've got so many really, really weird dreams to talk about. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you so much, Nigel. See you soon.